us a very, very, very touchy story, very emotional of what she went through being born with sickle cell anemia and how it actually impacted her life. But God came in at a point and God gave her a miracle. If you have not, if you missed it, you can always go to my YouTube channel called Olugbodi, and then you will see the past editions there, and then the last week edition that we had with Rolly Temisaren. All right, so tonight we continue on the sickle cell journey, and many were so surprised when I told them that my wife had lived with sickle cell for 54 years. All right. Yes. You know, the interesting thing was that many we asked, did I know before we got married? Yes, I knew very well. When I got to know Toyin on the campus of Ife, along the line, I got to know that she was always having very frequent crises. She's going to talk more about that. And I remembered one of those crises that she had, very, 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 very terrible one. And I went there to see her on the sick bed. And, you know, right there and then, even though she was having crisis, but I was having another discussion in my heart with God. That was the first day that it occurred to me that I was going to marry her. Thank God I did. All right, so we've been married for 27 years now. By February 19 next year, it's going to be 28 years. And it's really been a very wonderful time that I've had with this wonderful lady. All right, so Oluwatoyin, I call her several things, but tonight I'll just call Oluwatoyin. How are you there?
I'm good. Good evening, my dear.
Nice to have you on the hot seat of, it's not hot because it's cool, on the cool seat of Through It All, we call her Olugbodi. How are you today?
I'm very fine, thank you. How are you too?
I'm good. I'm so good. I'm in Lagos. She's somewhere else, so don't be surprised if she's asking, how am I too? All right. Oluwatoyin, you have lived with sickle cell for 54 years. Someone that you've lived with this disease for 54 years. Somebody told me today, said, your wife is the first person that I'm seeing that have lived beyond 50. That many people always die before they get to this point. So we thank God for your life. Like I always say, you're going to take us through the genesis of how everything started. I hope you are still with me. I hope your internet is not breaking. All right. So Toyin, you're going to take us through the genesis of how you discovered that you had sickle cell, and then you're going to take us through from Genesis to Revelation, how all those things used to happen, and then how is it now that you are over 50? Is that okay? All right.
Okay.
So you can have the floor.
Thank you, dear. Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure being here, and it's an opportunity that I will not take for granted, because I believed that before today, God knew this session will come up, and the giver of life, I want to give him the glory for giving me this testimony and for helping me to to share this testimony with everybody, primarily to help my fellow sickle sellers, and secondarily to help parents that have children with sickle cell. Journey back to when I was very young, I knew when I was young, like 4, 5, that was when my mom detected that I was born a sickler with SC genotype. And I remember then, though I was very small, I remember going to school then was somehow challenging. At times, 2 days off school, 1 day off school. Right from my primary school, I attended St. Benedict's Nursery and Primary School in Abeokuta. Right from then, the stigma was there because I couldn't wear the normal uniform. St. Benedict's uniform then was, I'm not too sure if it is still the style. The style of the uniform then was sleeveless.
Wow. Sorry. Unmute yourself again. Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
I was saying that the stigma started while I was very young because I couldn't wear the normal school uniform of St. Benedict's then. Their uniform then was sleeveless. And because of my health condition, I was allowed to wear a short.
Please always mute yourself when you come in. Sorry, Toyin. Just unmute yourself again. So sorry.
So I was allowed to wear a short sleeve dress to school in the midst of hundreds of people, being the only one with a short sleeve uniform. And I remember there was a day that we had a new teacher and we were on the assembly ground. He just called me out and said, "Why is your uniform like this?" And before anybody could rescue me from him, he beats me, that I should tell my parents to give me the normal uniform, that this is not accepted in the school. But before anybody could come to my rescue to inform me my state of health, the deed has been done. I felt bad. I was embarrassed, though I was very small, but throughout the day, I was not happy. So the journey started like that. And back then, I'm talking about 76, 77, 1976, 1977, thereabouts. There is this belief that as a sickle seller, you should not take injection, you should not go to the hospital. They believe then that going to the hospital will worsen the situation. It will induce the pain. It will make this pain much more than what it's supposed to be. And the span, when it will wear off, will be a little bit longer. So we were left with going traditional. And that was another thing I would like to really, really talk about. The tradomedical journey was somehow, because I remember, thank you, my class of 79, 84, Abeokuta Grammar School. Some of my friends are here. I remembered one of the days that I was taken to one herbalist. And the man just looked at me and he said, it is, I'm sorry, I'll say it in Yoruba and I'll try to interpret. He said, it is a jedudu. A jedudu means the blood cell is not red, then that's what causes it. So they have to do incision from me to bring out all the faulty blood that is making my cells the blood to be sickled. That once all the blood is out, I will not have crisis again. I remembered the incision was from my head to my toe. My arms, my limbs, my back, my waist, my neck, every part of my body. All my friends from class 7984 could bear the witness. Going back to school was embarrassing because I had to stay back home for the wound to get healed. I couldn't wear clothes for a long time. I was just trying to try wrapper. It was like that. And the funniest part of it is just that even with that, it only works for like, it's only work for like 1 month, 2 months. After the second month, the crisis will come back again. And it was like that. I was taken to another place again. Then that was when I believed that, yes, Yoruba people, they have what we call the traditional means of doing and to do anything. Then I got to the man. There was this live snake inside a big bottle, a white bottle. And he poured out the liquid from the white snake for me to drink. I will be going there like every 2 weeks to collect this water to drink. All this will just work for a while. After some time, it will come again. I'm trying to build up this one because I believe that it's for somebody. And it got to another point that somebody came again and said, no, there's another thing you can do. Just get this semen shinap bottle, the green bottle, the 4-corner bottle. So just get plenty of this semen shinap bottle, crush it into powder, crush it very well into powder, and be taking it every morning with hot pap.
Wow.
I did that for months again. It just worked for a few months. The thing will come back again. There was a time another person came again and said, no, just kill this local chicken, female local chicken. Kill one, fry it, let her eat it that day, to finish it that day, that same day. We tried that too. It only worked for a few days. The crisis will come again. So that was how the journey was. My school life, my secondary school life was on and off. When my friends are very hot, I could not afford to pull off my cardigan. I remembered my friends named me Tojoteru then. Because that means, no, you don't have any good weather. When it is cold, I am with my cardigan. When the sun is raining heat, I am with my cardigan. So they call me Tojoteru then. And you know, all these stigmas all normally bring my low, gave me a low esteem way of life. Low self-esteem way of life. All my friends, when they are playing, I know my limits, because I could be playing now. The next minute, something has happened. Maybe to stand up will be an issue. To raise my hand will be an issue. Or to bend down will be an issue. And it will be like, we were playing together now. So what happened to you? And that will be another journey of like 1 week, 2 weeks, I'll be off school again. So it went on like that. Until when I got to Form 4, I had a serious one. I had what the medical people call osteomyelitis. Osteomyelitis is the infection of the bone, inflammation and infection of the bone. So my right leg, from my knee to my femur side, was infected. So it was like ×4 of the size of my leg. So I couldn't walk. I was on it for 3 months straight. Couldn't go to school. I was on bed for 3 months. And this idea of don't go to the hospital, it will worsen, it was still on, even till that 1982 was on. So we were just using all the concussion, doing everything, until the osteomyelitis gave way and it started bringing out pus. So at the point of the pus, we had a a doctor friend. The pus now refused to heal up. The leg refused to heal up. It was just bringing out pus every day. So this man now came and said, but at this point, let's do an X-ray. Let's try to see. Let's do X-ray. Let's try to let's take the sample of the pus to the lab to at least check the antibiotics that will work for it. So the sample was taken and I was placed on a very strong antibiotic. I can't forget the name of the antibiotic, nicotine capsule. So I used it for like 3 months. I was on it. And what that osteomyelitis, what it did to my right leg was, right from that 1982 till 1999, it keeps reoccurring. It will come and go, come and go. There was a time I had to be going to the hospital for incision, like every 2 years, just to bring out the pus. It was just doing like that, just like that. Once it comes, I can't bend the right leg. I will just stretch the right leg. And it's just like that. And at this point, I've been married. Challenges of home was there. But I was coping. God was helping me. I was coping. God was helping me, because after a while, crisis stopped. It was only this osteomyelitis that comes once in a while. And what really happened was, as you grow up, you study yourself, you know what to do, you know your limits, you know your strengths, and you know all the precautions you need to take. And I was taking it. So once in a while, when I had crisis, then maybe I've gotten to the extreme. Maybe I overworked myself. I didn't take enough rest. I refused to take a lot of water, maybe because I was busy. Because even with this, at a point, I was an event planner. I was a caterer. I was doing cake. I was doing everything. And I was fine at a point in time. I was fine. I was a full event planner. I can bake for 1 week. I go for events. I was just like that. I was on with the business and I was fine. But this osteomyelitis was there for years. So something happened 1 year. We attend a local church. So there was a gap of an interpreter in my church. And that very year, I could remember that was 1997, 1998. I was just praying. I was just asking God, God, for the new year, what do you want me to do in the church? What is my duty for you this year? And God just said, you are going to start interpreting. I just said, God, with my leg, start interpreting. That means I'll be standing for hours, at least for 1 hour in the church every Sunday. God just said, yes, you will be standing without your leg and I will handle the leg for you. So 1998, I just took the job. I started the interpreting and that was all. That was the end of osteomyelitis in my life. Right from that year till now, nothing like osteomyelitis again. Though the scars are still there, like at least I still have like 3 or 4 points where I've had incision in the hospital to bring out the pus. But right from that year that I said, yes, Lord, to God, that I would do this duty, osteomyelitis stopped in my life. And that was the divine strength I got from God. And from that year, except for if I overworked myself, except for if I refused to take all my precautions, it's been God in my life. It's been God. It's been God. And one thing that I want to talk about again is my mom. Because we have some parents that are already, they are fed up. They are fed up to take care of sickle cell children or child. My mom stood by me. Doing my GCE, doing my WAEC, everybody knew my mom in my secondary school because we would do the exam together, all through. At every point, you have to, I was reading, the stress was much. In fact, at times when I was reading, then before the next 2-3 hours of reading, anything could happen, anything. So the next morning, going for an examination, I will go with hot water bottle. My mom, thank God, she's a bit learned in medicine. She will go with injection. We will go with hot water bottle, with hot water flask. So at every point of break, she will quickly take permission. All my WAEC examiners, they knew me very well. That was how I did my WAEC, my GC. And I had to do my WAEC 3 times before I could make it to have at least a good result to get to the university. So my university days, just like my husband said, was full of crises. It was full of crises, off, on. But to the glory of God today, I am what I am. Though once in a while, don't forget I said, if I overwork myself, crisis still show face. But it has changed. It has really, really changed. I could have the symptoms of this and I'll still go on with my daily activity until I get to the point that I say, yes, this is the point of you have to rest. This is the point of, yes, call your doctor. This is the point of, yes, 2-3 days house arrest or hospital arrest, at least for me to rest. But aside that, once I take the cautions, once I know that, yes, this body needs to rest, and taking a lot of water, avoiding all the iron food, iron tablet, medications, avoiding everything. With all these precautions, God has been my strength. He has been faithful to me. Though the journey has been so rough, but I could see today that I am enjoying the faithfulness of God. When it comes to sickle cell crisis, I'm enjoying the faithfulness of God. There was a time I was sharing with some set of ladies and I just mentioned it. It was like, you don't mean it. The way you are looking, I said, yes, it has been God in my life. So I believe that everybody living with sickle cell, you too can live a divine life, that it will be God. You will have a testimony that, yes, this is God. This is God. This is God. This is God at work. Praise the Lord. And another thing I would like to say before I stop, because I don't know my limits, because I know another person is still talk. Another thing I would like to say.
Just keep talking.
Okay, thank you, dear. Another thing I would like to say is that for some, mine is SC, not SS. I got confused sometimes ago, and I asked a doctor friend that I was told that for SC genotype, you could live a life that is out of crisis. So why am I having crisis? So, and the explanation he gave me then was, it means that my S gene is dominant to the C gene. I explained that, so even some AS do have crisis. And I said, wow. So he explained and said, if the S is dominant to the AS could be having crisis once in a while. Wow. And a friend of mine said, even AS crisis at times could be as worse as SS crisis. So having this in mind, even if you are AS, don't think of marrying another AS. Don't say, with our AA and AS, I know our next speaker will talk more on that, but I still want to talk about it, because that is where we make the mistake when it comes to choosing a life partner. We want to say, yes, I am AS, yes, he is AA, fine, yes, that one goes very well. But when it comes to the issue of AS and AS, please, don't be a murderer. Just like one of my pastors used to say, don't be a murderer. Don't say, yes, we will cope, we are going to face it. No, it's better for you not to experience the crisis. Don't see your child going through pain because of your so-called faith. All of us we believe that, yes, this is God. God says, yes, we should marry. But at the same time, please be wise. Be wise at the decision. My pastor will say, don't be a murderer. Don't look at your child dying on the bed because of an error that could be corrected, an error that you can avoid. So I want to say that, don't, please. And some of us, we used to calculate and say, yes, even if it is AS and AS, it is possible for us to have AA all true. Yes, it is possible. And it is possible for you to have SS all true. Because it's like putting ball in a bag and you want to choose one. You don't know the one that will come up. You don't know the one that will come. You don't know the one that will eat the goal. You don't know whether it is your S and it's S that will eat the goal, that will make it SS. So at every point in time that you are trying and you are picking from the ball, it could be S and S all true. So it could be SS, 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 even for the 4 trials. And it could be AA, AA, AA for the 4 trials. And it could be AA, AS, AA, AS. It's only God that knows how he does his things. So please, we should try as much as possible to avoid anything we know that we can avoid. I think I want to stop for now because it's a lot, but I think I want to stop for now because I know
All right.
somebody's still coming up. If there is any question for me to answer.
Yes. I'm going to give room for us to ask Toyin questions. I don't want to be the only one asking her the questions, more especially maybe you are someone that you have a son or a daughter that has sickle cell, and then maybe you want to find out 1 or 2 things from someone that actually has gone through it for this long, 54 years. You know, because I know what Toyin has gone through, I want to testify to the fact that yes, there's always the divine part to really dealing with this matter. You know, like I said earlier, it was when she was having one of the most chronic crises when we were back there in Ife on the campus in the university, that a discussion was going on in my heart with God. And that was the first time it occurred to me that I was going to marry her. And of course, there is a way my life had always worked out from the beginning. God uses my life to try a lot of things, you know. So when it occurred to me, of course, I can't say no to God. And I knew that there was a purpose, you know. I realized, of course, one of the things that, grew me so close to Toyin on the campus was actually a crisis. It was almost every other month, if not month after month. And I was so burdened, I said, well, how can it be? You know, but I discovered that after we got married, I don't know how God did it, but from the time we got married, the frequency of the crisis started reducing. I remembered maybe one very terrible crisis she had when we maybe some 5, 6, 7 years into our marriage. If you remember that was the day that of course she was rushed to the hospital. Incidentally, she was in Abeokuta, I was in Lagos. And you know, when I was called, I left Lagos 7 a.m. in the morning, and I never got to Abeokuta, a journey of 1 hour, until 7 p.m. in the evening. You remember that? Yes. You know, that incident just made me to know that, all right, now I understand. I understand that the Bible says that since the days of John the Baptist, the kingdom of God suffers violence, and the violent ones take it by force. So to every other thing, I'm going to be bringing up an expert now, Funke Oyeneye. She's Dr. Funke Oyeneye. She's a pharmacist consultant, and she has a sickle cell club. This sickle cell thing, it's so uppermost in her heart also. She doesn't have sickle cell, but she has taken it up to really look after people with sickle cell. But what I'm telling us is that prayer handles things. When you take it up in prayer, when you make it a warfare, I discovered that it was a warfare. How can I leave Lagos 7 a.m. and I didn't get to Abeokuta 7 p.m. And okay, the car first started overheating, then led to one thing. And as we were repairing it, I will move, something else will happen, I will stop. And it took me 12 hours, a journey of roughly 1 hour, 2 hours. You know, from that day, I took it up as a warfare. And I realized that from that time on, the frequency started reducing to the point that, of course, I normally call my wife Polytechnic. Polytechnic in Yoruba means gbogbo ìṣe, ilé-ìwé gbogbo ìṣe. They do every discipline there. My wife is so talented. She's so versatile. She does a lot of things. And, you know, of course, she's not the lazy type. It's now that we are growing up that I'm learning to tell her, sit down, take your eyes off it. You don't need to do it, leave it alone. Even though I most times I discover I've just said my own, she will sit down and then in another 1, 2 hours, she's there. I can't just see it like that. All right. So please, if you have a son or a daughter living with sickle cell, take it up as a warfare with all the medical things that you need to pay attention to. At least in our own experience, I discovered it has worked. And sincerely speaking, it's not if. It happens to be like maybe one of the reasons God brought the two of us together. I'm not a Superman, but I just know that when it comes to some things that I think I can't take again, then we take it up. And I've always seen God rise to always honor my prayers. So, and I'm not special before God. God doesn't have a favorite child. He's not a God of favoritism. So please, that's one thing I will tell you that has worked for us and is still working. All right. So now, so Toyin, thank you so much. Stay there. Somebody was raising up the hand. Sorry, you can bring up your hand again. I will, and you can ask your question. But while you are doing that, I'll bring Dr. Funke Oyeneye up. How are you, my sister? Where are you?
I'm good. I'm here with you.
Okay, you can hear me. I'm trying to bring you up. You want to switch on your camera so that we can see what. All right. Okay. You can lift are you using the laptop or a phone? Aha, it's better this way. You can unmute. You can unmute. You are muted. All right. So Stafunke, you're welcome. So nice to have you here. And you are looking good. All right. Eniola, ask your question. Release your mic. Ask your question. We take it off from there.
Yes, sir. I want to ask Mommy that how did she relate to critics or this kind of attitude you get whenever crisis is up, whenever you're not feeling okay, especially from parents and from friends? How did she handle such?
Okay, thank you, Eniola. Handling critics. One thing I want you to understand is you've got your life to live. You've got your life to live. You can't do without critics. Some will say, oh, fine. Comments like, you are not taking good care of yourself, fine. Comments like, a lot of things, why are you doing this? A lot of critics will come. But one thing that I want you to know is it's your life. Try to learn to let it not hold water in your hearts. And I want you to know again that all the critics, it's out of love.
Some of the time.
Some of the time. Some is out of, like your parents now, especially your mom, especially your siblings, people that are close to you. I don't believe that they wouldn't want to put pepper in that sore, that wound at that time. So out of love for some of them, just take it as if that's the best they could offer for that time and move on. Let me try to, I recollected something that happened to me in the secondary school. That was this afternoon that the school called an emergency assembly in the afternoon. And before then, I've started having a slight pain that I knew I needed to take an extra care to manage myself to get home. So as the school called this emergency assembly, everybody filed out and make the lines class by at least they file into the lines. But because I knew what was going on inside of me, I just managed to stay under our assembly, that is our science laboratory, under the place. I just managed to stay there. And my principal just came, he looked at me and just said, Father Shere, what are you doing there again? I just said, sir, I'm not too fine. He beats me and he called me a name that all the school whistle, all the guys whistle. That was a line of whistle. That day, the man just said, get fall into the line, you this invalid girl. You know, that day, I felt somehow, at least for 2-3 weeks, I couldn't come to school. I felt bad. I said, is it my fault? But there's nothing I could do to that. My life continues. So try to manage it well. Don't let it hold water in your heart, because it could be destructive in your heart. It could lead to a lot of thoughts that will not help your health. But at that point in time that you have expressing crisis, you can't afford to mix up a lot of things in your heart, in your mind. You need to free your mind so that at least the pain will ease naturally. It will go. But bringing in a lot of things in your mind will add up to it so that it will linger. The pain will linger. So the Lord will help you, Annie.
All right, thank you, T. So Eniola, and anyone that goes through stigma and critics and whatever, you know what? One of the ways I handled that thing, I discovered that in life, everybody is grappling with something. Everybody. It just differs from one person to the other. You understand? So the person criticizing you that say this invalid, his own son is smoking Igbo. You understand? So that is what he's crying about. You understand? So one thing, that's the way I handled life. And somebody said, Fala no botie. Fala no botie means that face your own business. You understand? Some won't face their own child that is raping people all over the place. And it's somebody's else child that they are calling invalid. Face your own face your own trouble. You understand? That's the way I do it. I just know that everybody is going through one thing or the other. So don't let anyone make you feel like I'm the only one in this world that is being banged left, right, and center. Is that okay? Adegbite was raising up the hand also. Oh, all right. Famosa Adegbite, yes, ask your question. Then Toyin Olugbodi also we follow after. Then there is Lola. Okay.
Yes, good evening, sir. I really appreciate the effort, sir.
You're welcome.
The question, I want to refer the questions to you. At the time he wants to get, yes. At the time he wants to get married to our mommy.
Yeah.
Is how easy it is, especially with family members of all these critics that you can't get married to this kind of person and all the challenges during that period. How did you handle that situations? So.
Thank you so much for that question. It will amaze you that many of my siblings got to know that my wife had sickle cell last week when the advertisement came out. Except for a few that noticed, and of course I'm free with my siblings. You understand? It's my cup of tea, so to speak. You understand? And I've counted the cost. I told you it wasn't as if it was when she was okay that I felt I was going to marry her. It was when she had crisis that God and myself were having discussion that this is who you are going to marry. So if I was going to even say no to anybody, it's God. But I can't. In fact, I will never, because I've learned that he knows ahead of me. The fear then was, they don't live to be 30, they don't live to be 40. But mine is going to live to be like my father. She was going to live to be 100 years and enjoy it if she wishes so. You understand? So many of us, the problem in life generally is that many of us won't do many things in life because of what people say. What will people say? We don't base your judgment and decision on what you are saying. What will my daddy say? What will my mother say? What will my brother say? What will my friend say? What will this one say? What are you saying? What is God saying? When God has spoken, so what are you trying to get what is your mind about this from any human being? So that's the way I've taken it. And sincerely speaking, maybe when I was younger, I was thinking, maybe I should marry another person. I know there is nothing like reincarnation, but if it's going to happen, if only it happens in dreams, if I'm not going to pick another woman, this is the woman I will pick. I've discovered many are very pretty, but they don't have what it takes. Sincerely, at times I just look and I ask myself, God, what have I used to make head that you gave me this wonderful person? Kinimo sorry. What's that favor I found before you that this is a wonderful person you gave to me? Pleasant, smart. She's the only one that knows how to catch me. When I say right, she knows I'm saying left. And then she catches me in the middle. Most times, I don't know how to argue. She knows, and then she's choleric, I'm sanguine, so she knows how to always catch me, and then I always turn it into agidi, you know. So I've married the best woman ever that God created for me. You understand? So let it stay there. Stafunke, you are talking, sorry. Toyin Olugbodi, I hope the question is not for me. You can ask your question now.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And I'm happy for my sister. I thank God for her life. She will live long and see her children's children in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Divine health is a portion in Jesus' name.
Amen.
I have like a daughter. She's not my daughter, but I call her my daughter. I met her on Facebook, whose daughter, she just found out that her daughter is SS. She was afraid the girl was going to die tomorrow. She doesn't have any symptom or anything. It's just, I added that she was in the Zoom. I think maybe her data finished or something. She was in the Zoom call before she left just some minutes ago. Is there medication or supplement or things that she ought to give the child? I'm purposely here because of her. That's why I joined the Zoom meeting, purposely because of her. Is there any supplement that she can be giving the girl? The daughter is just 2 years old. She was sent out of her marriage because the man found out the girl is SS and everything. The pressure was so much on her. I've been trying to encourage her. Can I link her up to Auntie for counseling or something? Is that possible? I am calling from Canada. She is in Nigeria. Is it possible to link her up, or what support can we give her as a parent, as elderly people, please? Thank you very much.
All right, I guess that's for Toyin. So Toyin is going to answer, and then Stafunke, you also will talk. Thank you so much for that question.
Thank you, my sister. Actually, the question is supposed to go directly to Dr. Mrs. Oyeneye because of the medical thing that she's.
All right, so Dr. Oyeneye.
So let her go so that at least she will take it up with her live, with her own session.
All right, ma.
Yeah, good evening, the whole house. I'm glad to be here. This is my passion that we are really talking about this night. I just had to force myself up from my sleep to be here. Directly to the question, a 2-year-old medication to take and all that. What I would suggest, I really wish I know where that particular child is, and wherever she is.
The child is in Ibadan. Ibadan.
In Ibadan, oh good.
Yes.
There's a Sickle Cell Club in Ibadan. Tell the mom to take her to UCH. I know there are some experts. We have hematologists at UCH in Ibadan, and there are some Sickle Cell Clubs too around that place. Of course, depending on where she is in Ibadan also, I don't know, some Ibadan are so close to Abeokuta as well, but you can be sure that she can be linked up to any Sickle Cell Club close to where she's staying. The basic things she really needs for that child, like Mrs. Olugbodi has just said, they're just basic things of life. Take a lot of fluids, especially for the child. Feed her properly on balanced diet. Folic acid is a must. The extremities of weather, you have to watch out for them and protect that child from such extremities of weather. Protect her from infection. Ensure there is good environmental and personal sanitation, clean environment and clean personal hygiene. Ensure that the mother should ensure that she looks after that child. If there is anything changing about her, she should not wait for too long before taking her to the hospital. She should not be the doctor, and self-medication should be avoided as much as possible. Being a member of a Sickle Cell Club is one of the additional help for people living with sickle cell disorder. The management of sickle cell disorder is a holistic management. Drugs alone is not enough. Parental support and care is good, we need it, but it's not enough. The medical team alone is not enough, we need them also majorly. We found out that they also need some social help, and that's what the Sickle Cell Club is doing. That's what we are offering them. Sometimes they are helpless, and as they are growing, they need information to survive. It's not all the time that somebody is going to, and the mother should raise that child up to be useful for herself. You hear the testimony of Ms. Olugbodi. She's there for a long time. But then there are some SS to people living with SS, and they are very useful. They are doing so many things. They are doing wonderfully well. Some of them are married, they have children, and they are living their lives. And the truth is because they know what they ought to do. They know their limits. They know what to avoid. And how do you get to know some of these things? Of course, the Sickle Cell Club brings in people living with sickle cell disorder. They share experiences. They do routine medical check, which will place them in good stead, so that before you know what is happening, once their blood picture is changing, they know what's the next thing to do. They share experiences. When I had this, what did I do? And all that. The mother should avoid self-medication. It goes a long way to destroy them and in fact destroy their life. They could get addicted to some drugs because they always want, relief. Pain is not an easy thing. Pain is not nice at all. And for sickle cell crisis, I can tell you, it's such an unbearable pain that I had a club member who had put to bed, who lived with sickle cell disease. I have gone through labor pain, but she told me that I have gone through the two pains. The sickle cell crisis pain is more than labor pain. And that speaks volume. I said, so how do you mean? She said, labor pain, you know that this thing is going to go. As a matter of fact, you are prepared for it for about 9 months. But sickle cell pain can come at an unexpected hour. Gracefully unexpected. You cannot imagine that you're in the middle of a beautiful thing and it just comes like that. And it can be anytime, anywhere, unprepared, not because of anything that you really did wrong, particularly that you know. For example, if it is an infection that is causing it, it may not really be the direct, source of the infection. And it's there, and you have to live with it. Unfortunately, not many people can understand your pains. Sometimes parents don't even understand your pain. Oh, come to the hospital. Oh, another trouble. Some of the care members, the way they handle them is, quite disheartening. They say, OTT bearing here, you have come again. Say, I'm in pain. Say, which kind of pain is that? Just manage it and stuff like that, But the basic thing is all that they need, in addition to the medical care, the support from parents. I talk about financial preparation for living with sickle cell crisis too. This actually led me into encouraging them to have a kind of investment, health investment. Because I'm telling you, for any sickle cell child that you see grown up into adults, that's like 4 flats. You can imagine the amount of money it costs you to build a 4 flat. You see my sister and you say, it's just like that now. Money is speaking. I'm telling you the truth, because the amount of money you spend on drugs, on good food, on maintaining yourself, fruits and all that is much. The time and attention you give to yourself too is much. Rest is also a cost, because sometimes you want to do certain things where you see that you just need to take some rest, and that rest may be expensive, but then you need to just take a break and leave your work or leave your appointment and attend to all that. So if that mother is anywhere, if she's getting medical attention, the social help is also very important. What we do in the Sickle Cell Club is to bring all mothers together, bring all people living with sickle cell together. They become friends. They also have life. Everybody is stigmatizing them. They don't have a social life. You can imagine now. They say a Christmas party is coming, all the children should come somewhere. They want to do party for them. Who is going to celebrate them? Who is going to do children party for them? So when they belong to a club, we celebrate ourselves, we make ourselves happy. And life is about happiness, In addition to every other thing, happiness is key. You must decide to make yourself happy. You must reinvent yourself. You have discovered that this is who you are. So you reinvent yourself to adapt to the life situation you are facing. And you are going on. There's nothing you can do now. Whether you have sickle cell genotype or not, everybody will die. Is that not the ultimate? That's the fear of everybody. Hey, they will die, yo. People that are not living with sickle cell disorder, are they not dying? I work in the hospital, and people of various ages, they drop down and die. So what's the big deal about death? Death is an inescapable end for everybody in life. So while you are alive, why don't you enjoy your life and enjoy even the situation that you have found yourself? Is it not by, do you think it's by decision? It's not your decision that you are black or white, or you are SS or you are SG or S whatever. But maybe a word of caution to our lovers. It's good to count the cost. If you must go the long haul of having a sickle cell child, please count the cost and be ready to give the love and everything it's going to take. I sympathize with that lady whose husband deserted. She's not the first one. There's so many. I've seen so many. At the time, one couple came to me all the way from Shagam and said, please tell me the child she's carrying, if the child is going to be SS. And I almost tore my clothes. I said, so am I God? I will tell you whether it's, I know that the man wanted to actually, abandon the lady. I said, if you want to abandon her to his face, please abandon her and go. And I told the lady, he's not interested in keeping you. So just to find your way. There's so many things, so many burdens, especially for the ladies. So I tell them, as you are getting married, love is not enough to keep you in this marriage if you have this genotype. So you have to think twice, think of the cost and all that. Maybe
so they need to count the costs.
Even the Bible,
the Bible talks about counting the cost. For those that have not seen anyone go through crisis before, they may not appreciate some of the things we are saying tonight. I'm somebody that used my life to experiment so much. After seeing my wife have crisis before she became my wife, when I was serving, it was one day I just told God, I said, how did they really feel? And then this crisis came. It was just for like 24 hours. Then I was begging, I said, I now know, so I now know. For once I felt how they feel, and I don't want to feel like that again. So if one of the solutions is that we will avoid this marriage that we keep on making us have excess, I think we need to think about it. You understand? Like the Bible says in Songs of Solomon chapter 3, I think verse 7 or 8. It says, daughters of Zion, it says, I charge you by the gazelle and blah, blah, blah. It said, stir not love until it's so desired. What I always say is that before you begin to fall in love, find out whom you want to fall in love with. Before the emotions start running haywire and you get to the point that you feel, no, it's either I marry her or I die. And then you now give birth to children with SS. Lola, you can ask your question. I have two questions in the chat too, but Lola, ask your own first, and then.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma, and thank you for sharing your story with us this evening. I just wanted to. It's actually a comment that I want to make. I just wanted to, being a sickle cell person and having sickle cell for over 30 years of my life, and I also, like the former woman said about her son, I also had AVN, and I had to have 2 hip replacements done. I just wanted to stress the importance of the faith and also the importance of, because I work a 9-to-5 job now. And for the longest time in my life, I didn't think I could do that. And I've done that for, it's going over 8 years now. Sometimes I even shock myself. I just wanted to stress the importance of a good support system, like Mr. mentioned just now. And I also wanted to stress the importance of the power of the mind over matter, because ultimately, if we focus on how society treats us and how, especially in Nigeria, how people talk about us, we will not get where we ought to be and we'll be lacking. So kudos to you, Ma, for sharing your story. I think it was very, very helpful. And I hope you'll be able to share your story in other platforms. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lola.
Thank you so much, Ma.
Yeah. Yes, of course, that's what my wife and I use our lives for, encouraging people and letting them know that there is hope in life. So if you need her to share in some other platforms, maybe we have sickle cell, people living with sickle cell, she will gladly do that. I can talk on her behalf on that. All right. Let's just take maybe one or two more questions. All right, Sister Funke, somebody is asking, let me open it. He said, now it's getting long. Dr. Funke, you know, is SC as terrible as SS? That's the first question. And second one says, please educate us on the AC genotype. Should I give all the questions? So the difference between is SC as terrible as SS, and then number two, please educate us on the AC genotype. Maybe you do that, then I will take, I will ask you the other questions.
All right, thank you. I really don't like the word terrible. There's nothing terrible about it. I mean, it's just the definition of a genotype. Everything that God has made is beautiful. God made all things beautiful in his own time. It's the scientists that have actually graded and identified this genotype with the particular experiences they go through. Basically, everybody in life, we are unique. The difference in the genotype, we have so many genotypes. We have so many mutants. AC, we just have 1A and 1C. They are just labels of the different blood genotype. That's one. Then S, you have just one S and one C. That's all. Then the AS, 1A and 1S. Of course, come from each parent. Bring the two. That's the way the gene operates. Get one from the mother and the other one from the father. So, but of course, that's the genotype of the parent. You'll be able to know where you're picking your A or your S from, right? But more importantly for SS, when you now have two, it's just like you give somebody one blow and you give two blows. There's one blow, seven die. I don't know if you know anything about it.
Sorry, raise, put, Safunke, put little volume in your voice, is low.
Okay. What I'm saying is that, I mean, the difference is just the level, all right? And you get, most of the times you get your genotype labels from both parents. One of the parents will donate the A, another will give you the C. One will give you the S, another one will give you the C. And then sometimes you have S and S from both parents. And nobody can determine which one you're going to get. God is the one that is in charge, and God gives you whatsoever He feels. He also have the grace for you to go through it. Now, when we come to the experience of the crisis, I tell you many times, the management of our, there are some people that are not even, they don't have genotype SS or SC or AC, and they still have more terrible crisis. We bring them to the hospital. There are different classes. In fact, I don't know how many number of diseases and ailments and crises we have in the medical palace. But I'm talking about blood disorder. Now, we also call it disorder because actually it's not really a disease. It's just like when you are pregnant, you go through all kinds of manner of experiences. And it's just because you are pregnant. And once the pregnancy is over, then you are good and you go. But every crisis depends on the person going through it. It depends on how the person is handling it, the support, the care, the prompt attention you give to whatever it's looking like. Can I tell you that many times, what makes sickle cell crisis unique? You cannot predict it. It's an unpredictable crisis. But for some other crises, you know. But then, some of the crises can also be determined. I have a friend who is here. She cannot work in the rain. Even if rain is just starting like this, and she just needs to quickly run from his car from where she is to the car, she will not try it. Because if she tries it, she will have crisis immediately. And she's just scared. And you have some essence, they will go through that purpose they don't know for what reason. But by the time they are, coming back from the rain, if they can immediately manage themselves, take a very hot shower, maybe take hot tea, keep them warm. Well, why do you want to go through the rain? Nobody come in. I mean, to prevent the crisis. So it's not really terrible as you are thinking. But then, crisis is a crisis. Do you know the meaning of the word crisis in English? It is actually crisis. Okay? It's just that depends how you're handling it and your definition of whether it's terrible. Oh, I don't like that word terrible. Okay? It can be
it's okay.
all right.
All right. So I hope you got that. And I think my wife, thank you so much, Stafunke. My wife also spoke about somebody telling her if S is dominant or if C is dominant. You know, I think it was explained to her. So whether SC or SS, it's let's just keep praying. You know, let's take the last question and then we'll wrap up the program. Bro Andrew Abba, nice to have you here. We went to the same secondary school. He was my senior, but now he's a great man of God. Bro Andrew, are you with us? You can ask your question and yours will be the last one. Hello? All right, okay. Maybe he has left his phone. All right, let me begin to thank my wife for being courageous enough to really share our testimony, our story with us.
Sorry, you muted me up. I don't know if I can still ask.
All right. Okay. Quickly go ahead.
I want to just confirm, as a minister of the gospel, meet intending couples that have challenge in terms of sickle cell, will you not discourage them outrightly? Because we've had quite some of our missionaries go through this experience and it's been hell. In fact, one of the missionaries lost the child eventually.
Sorry, hello? I didn't get, sorry, Brandrew. Are you saying we should discourage them or not discourage them?
Yes, that's the question. Shouldn't we discourage them outrightly? Should we not discourage them outrightly?
All right, you so know that should I handle it from the spiritual angle or the medical? All right. You know, many things, like we keep saying, we need to always count the costs. We need to always count the costs of anything we want to do. I've met people that said that they are so sure that God wants them to marry themselves. And you see, when it gets to that point, I believe that if they say we have prayed and God wants us to marry ourselves, we are AS or AS, and we know that everything will be fine. So I tried not to, more especially if they are mature. If they are the young children of this age, like my young friends was sharing one in the office before I left of a guy that because he was ready, the lady was engaged, so he was AS, the lady was AS, and he said, let's go ahead. I believe God that God will change he will change the genotype of one of us from AS to AA. So it was the brother saying that. So the sister said, so which of us is God going to change? He said, of course, God is going to change your own. We are going to begin to pray that God will change your own. And he said, yes, begin to fast. And so the sister was fasting, and so eventually it did not change. And then brother moved on without even telling her, proposed to another person, and just blocked this poor sister, you know. And it was people that told her that we are seeing pastor something with another sister on Facebook or something, but he has blocked her. You understand? So for mature people, I've seen people that were matured and they said, God wants us to go ahead. Sincerely speaking, as a pastor, I can't overturn what they believe God has told them. The only thing I can do as a pastor is join my faith with theirs and say, your faith will make you whole. You understand? But then when young guys that are frivolous. I love her from head to toe. I don't know whether I can love another girl like that. I must marry her. Nami go marry her. I'm supposed to marry her. Then I need to sit such down. Because when the real thing happens and they bring an SS child into the world, it's such useless guy that runs away and leaves the poor lady to be taking care of what he started because of his crazy love. And it's not even love, that's infatuation. Because if it's love, it will stay to the end. So I think we just need to be bold as preachers to really know how to discern and know how to carry people. I know some people that they believed it, and I just believed along with them. Of course, they had issues along the line. It was so rough, but now God has helped them to balance it out. Rough to the extent that they lost their first two children rather, but God gave them two other children that are okay. So I believe, okay, so God knew how he was going to sort them out, and they are sorted out. But please don't use one. I'm talking about the young ones. In fact, some of them, it was last week when Rolly was talking about sickle cell, that some of them were saying, oh, we never knew it's this serious. And then my wife and I, we have a WhatsApp group for singles. And then the day we were speaking about SS and AS and sickle cell, that was the first time these young people were hearing it for the first time. And so if we had not spoken about it, they are going to fall in love. They don't care whether you are AS or SS or AC or AFAN, they just go with you. You know. All right. So please, Brandon, that's going to be my own candid counsel. The maturity matters in this. Once they say, I mean, it's God and we have prayed and God says we should go ahead. Sincerely, I just throw my faith along with them. But when I know they are not the mature type, they don't even know God, talk less of hearing from him. Those ones, I need to sit them down. All right, thank you so much. Thank you for that question. All right.
Sorry, dear.
Yes, there.
There is a question on the chat box that.
Brandon, thank you so much. Okay.
Please, I don't know whether we can still handle this question. This coming up the second time.
What's the question?
Dr. Yeneye. Doctor, please educate us on the AC genotype. The person kept asking the question. I think she needs some clarification on AC genotype.
Okay.
I think Sister Funke should please help us to talk on AC genotype.
Hello, can you hear me?
Your volume is faulty, Sister Funke.
Sorry about
It's
that.
making some noise. So maybe you throw your voice into it.
Should be the fan. Should be the fan.
Yeah, there's no fan.
Okay. All right. Don't worry, throw your voice into it.
We tried that now. The AC genotype actually is just AC genotype. It's a rare genotype, and it doesn't really have much issue that we're discussing with about sickle cell. There's nothing sickle with the C. The A is A and the C is C. It's just one other genotype, just like you have AA. So the only issue when we talk about sickle cell is where there is we have 2S, but the AC is another genotype, and it confers whatever that genotype is. Anyone that has it, nothing more. Just live your life normally, live every normal balanced diet, and
all right, thank you. So
in addition to that, sorry.
Okay.
As good as AC genotype is, it is not advisable for AC to marry AS. Because you can still come up with an offspring that will be SC.
Yeah.
So that's just the only thing with AC genotype.
All right. Thank you for that. My wife is actually, okay, you are muted, Stafunke.
Yeah, but I've unmuted myself now. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yeah.
You will notice that I'm not really stressing the issue of this one should marry this and that one should not marry that. You know, love and marriage is a very, very deep matter. And I'm telling you, when you are marrying somebody, you are not really marrying the genotype. Even though I keep saying it, you need to count the cost. The cost is very, very important. If by chance you have one S, if you have one S, the possibility is that even if you can avoid a particular problem with your own generation, the next generation may not escape it. Meaning that if AA is AS now, there's likelihood that you will have AS, so your next generation. And that generation, they keep moving it. And you know, as scientists, we are looking at, can we really eradicate this S? It's a struggle. Because for as long as we already have it, for every 4 persons you see on the road, 1 person is AS. Science has proven it over the years. And anytime, anywhere, as we're on this platform now, if we take all our genotype and we do the percentage, we will have 25% that are AS. So which means that the next 5th person is also AS. I keep wondering, are we going to stop everybody from getting married? If we have to look at this genotype, who's going to marry my sister? So who is going to marry all these my children? Thank you very much.
All right. You are the medical people talking, but as a pastor, I don't want to see people suffer. I don't want to see people go through those pains. If we can help it, you understand, let's see how we can help it. You understand? That's my own. But I think people have learned more about this disease now. We call it sickle cell disease or sickle cell anemia. Once again, I want to thank Toyin Olugbodi for her courage to share her story with us, what she has gone through, and how God had really taken charge. And I want to keep re-emphasize the aspect of God in this. With God, all things are possible. I've seen people whose genotype genuinely changed from SS either to AS or AA. I've had the testimony. I've seen someone that had it and they went different labs to do the test over and over again, and they discovered that it has changed. So God does these things. I'm saying it if you're a mother or somebody that has been living with sickle cell, our God is faithful, is still in the business of healing people. So don't give up. I've seen it happen in the case of my wife. I've seen prayer work on her. I've seen prayer work. So please never let that be out of the way. Let's bring God into this matter. And it may not even be him changing ASS to AS or AA. Maybe him just giving you the wisdom that will help to just really bring the pain even to a very, very, very manageable level. So please, let's run to God. Let's cry to him. And the Lord can still help us in this matter. All right. So through it all came out, can you see it? This thing is breaking the book. But through it all is a book that I wrote to encourage people. I also have my own challenges. In fact, my own challenges didn't come in ones or twos, they came in multiples. Bible says many are the afflictions of the righteous. But the beauty of it is that the Lord delivers that righteous from them all. All right, so, and that was what I experienced, and I captured in the book just to encourage people. So if you have not read through it all, go to the website, www.tia.com.ng, to buy a copy, either the soft copy or the hard copy. Soft copy is 1,000, hard copy is 2,000. I'm so sure you are going to be blessed when you read it. So next week, we're going to be meeting again on the program, 8 p.m. Thursday, Nigerian time. Next week, I'm bringing one amazing lady. Her name is Rita Boyo. I don't know whether she's related to Uncle Temple Boyo. She had lived with visual impairment right from when she was a child, and she has done so marvelous things in her life. And of course, for those that keep thinking, oh, my son or my daughter has this disability, will they ever be married in life? Will they ever progress in life? Rita is actually married. She's not married to a blind person. She got married to somebody able-bodied that really loved her, and she's just wonderful. So Rita is going to be sharing her story with us next Thursday by God's grace. So thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you've been able to pick one thing or the other. The recorded version of this tonight's program is going to be on my YouTube channel, Toyin Olugbodi. Just search for Toyin Olugbodi on YouTube, and you will get the video of tonight's edition and previous editions also. So thank you, everyone. The Lord will keep being with you. The Lord will keep honoring the prayers you pray over your children or over yourself if going through any challenge in life. He is the one that says, many are the afflictions of the righteous. He will deliver you. If you are a child of God, you are the one that you have become the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. So when you are in any challenge, God will help you out. If you are not born again, please, there is still room for you to become a child of God. All you need to do is to sincerely just call on Jesus to come into your heart. The Bible says, they that call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. All you need to tell him, come into your heart, let him come and take control of your life. That's what I've enjoyed since 1984 in my life, and I thank God that I did so. And he has turned a lot of things around in my life. He will do so in your life also. So let's meet again next Thursday, 8 p.m. Use the same link that you used to come in today. It's going to be a recurring link, so you won't need to get any other link. So next Thursday, just click the same link and you'll be here. God bless you all. Have a wonderful evening. I appreciate